What's up, vetters? Have an awesome video for y'all today. Luis Elizondo's new book, Imminent, is just around the corner. August 20th is the release date. There's a link in the description. Please go pre-order it now. Today, we're going to be looking over an excerpt from the book about Luis Elizondo talking about orbs. I've also got 3 different video clips that might help explain what he understands about orbs and what he thinks about them. Now, the excerpt I am going to read you is a first-hand experience of Luis Elizondo and his family experiencing orbs. So let's dive in. If you're new to the channel, y'all, and you like content like this, please hit that subscribe button. I put out a new video every day, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. I do not miss a day, y'all. And please hit that like button, vetters. That really helps out the videos. So thank y'all so much for the support there. And, of course, comment down below. What do you think about Luis Elizondo and his family and their experiences with orbs? Have you experienced something similar yourself? Tell me in the comments. So anyway, here's the book, Imminent. Again, Inside the Pentagon's Hunt for UFOs. Luis Elizondo, August 20th. Link in the description. Please go check it out. All right, let's get to the excerpts. So it's 2 different excerpts. Let's begin. Again, this is Luis Elizondo speaking. I never had any interaction with orbs until I started working with the program. I was shocked to find that a lot of my colleagues and I began experiencing firsthand some of these orbs at our homes. In fact, my wife was a complete skeptic on all of this. That is, until she saw an orb in our house for herself. We had a long main hallway in the house, and one evening, a green glowing ball, probably about the size of a basketball with soft edges that weren't defined, floated down slowly from the kitchen to our bedroom door, just below ceiling height, then disappeared into a wall. Hoping Jen caught a glimpse of it, I turned to her, catching the perplexed look on her face. She indeed saw it in the entire 10 seconds it was in our house. Another time, the kids reported seeing an orb appear in the air, hover near them for a few seconds, and then float away. They described what they'd seen as best they could, first to my wife and again to me when I asked. Their description made my blood run cold. The object had been 3-dimensional, but still translucent, and suffused with an eerie green light. The object behaved as if guided by some intelligence. It parked itself in the air, and then drifted off down the hall before disappearing entirely. What the hell was going on? I agree. Over time, more orbs appeared in our home. Not too frequently. A whole month might go by, and then one would arrive. Since our orbs manifested as clear or green, I did not feel compelled to warn my family to avoid them. I didn't want to frighten them further. As far as I knew, only blue was problematic. Nevertheless, we couldn't shake the things. I'd be sitting at the dining room table, working at my computer or catching up on some reading, and I'd suddenly notice one of these damn balls hovering nearby. Other times, we'd be outside grilling and we're going to leave it there. All right, so just a little teaser. When the book comes out, you can read the whole thing. All right, so that's interesting. First of all, that only blue orbs are the ones to be worried about. I never heard that. And that there's these different colors and they mean different things. That's interesting, right? So what do you think? Have you had any similar experiences to Luis Elizondo and his family? Right? They're coming. These things are basketball shaped, flying through their house, coming right up to them. That is terrifying. Not going to lie. So again, here's a few clips of Luis Elizondo talking about orbs. Here's the first one. Pay attention to what he says.
Okay, speaking about cloaking, is there any evidence that suggests, well, UFOs are associated with orbs, at least anecdotally? Firstly, what's the reason for that? And then second, is there any evidence that you know that suggests that these orbs may be more plentiful than we think, perhaps around us, whether in homes or outside cityscapes, just cloaked?
Yeah, the problem with the word orb is you're not going to get a common definition from most people. Everybody thinks an orb means something else. Some people think an orb is a little plasma ball. Others say it's much, much bigger and intelligently controlled. Orb is kind of a general catch-all. When you say is an orb related to UFO, well, by definition, it is a UFO. It's unidentified and it's flying, or it's it's in our atmosphere, and it's an object. It's something. We don't know what it is. So by definition, an orb is a UAP. But the question is it a UAP in the sense that we're talking about UAPs, whether lenticular type shape or maybe a cylindrical shape or a triangular vehicle? I think the jury's still out. There does seem to be some information that suggests that orbs, as you call them, are sometimes associated with other UAP sightings, that there are UAPs in the sky, and then you see these little balls of light. The problem is it's a very generalized term. We now know for a fact that things such as ball lightning are real. Is that an orb? Well, yeah, at times it looks like an orb to me. Other times when you have large amounts of energy being released into the atmosphere and the environment. Let's talk about tectonic movement, for example, where these titanic forces right underneath the surface of the Earth, creating this plasma effect in the atmosphere, where you get these different colors shooting into the sky, and again, orbs, if you will, being reported and seen and even captured on camera. But that's an orb that I think we can all agree is probably being manufactured naturally. Now, are there orbs that are intelligently controlled? Well, we did talk about that at ATIP. One of the questions were, when you look at the different shapes and sizes of vehicles, orbs tend to be almost like I guess in a vernacular sense, think of a UAV. Think of a drone. They tend to be described as being much smaller, highly maneuverable, different colors, sometimes red, sometimes green, sometimes yellow, sometimes blue. Is it possible that those colors are indicative of mission set, right? Are the blue ones doing certain things where the reds are doing something else and their purpose is something else, where the yellows and the whites are doing something else? It's certainly plausible. I don't dismiss that at all. The problem is we just don't have enough information, because it appears that these orbs tend to be small, that it's really hard to argue the case that they are being occupied by any type of biological organism. Now, it doesn't mean that they're not. It just means that, we haven't seen that yet. We don't know what these are. Are these perhaps some sort of unmanned reconnaissance capability that are kicked out? Not much different than we use drones ourselves, right, to do certain types of reconnaissance missions. We don't know. It's certainly plausible.
The reasoning behind my question.
Look at that. Great answer from Lou. That was quite interesting. Now, that was from 2 years ago. What's interesting is I didn't get a sense from him that, like, he was hiding his own personal stories. But I don't know. Maybe these orb stories happened to him in the last couple years, right? And he got him into the book. I don't know, but that is interesting. And is that a hitchhiker effect that he saw these orbs, right? He had a different sighting, and then that's just the result of hitchhiker effect. I don't know. But great clip. All right, next clip here. This is Michael Villa, who was on an episode of Unexplained or whatever, Unidentified, a loose show that was on History Channel. And he's on a show called with UFO Joe. And you'll hear the question, and then I'll show the answer here.
For Michael, after your segment on the show with Lou, did Lou help you understand your sighting better? And then...
So they take like a minute to get to the answer, so I skipped ahead. I got it here. So just so you can see who's answering. So it's this guy right here, Michael Villa, that you're going to hear talking.
So in answer to the question, Lou, so let me explain how this happened. So my interview with Lou is over, and I wasn't the only guy there.
Your interview with Lou for the show Unidentified, for people who haven't seen it.
That's right. And so I go back out to this thing called the green room, and I'm hanging out, and it's catered. I'm hanging out. And I asked the producer,
who came in and thanked me, I said, hey, before the shuttle takes me back, or the driver takes me back to the hotel, can you ask Lou if I can get a few minutes with him alone? And so he did, and we did. And in about an hour's time, Lou and I go back into this, it's like a pantry area at A&E Studios. And we go even further back inside there, where there's a printer and a copier bay. Really nice facility, right? So we're back there alone. The door is closed. And I said to him, so, you know, we're both cleared, right? We're not in a skiff. We both know that. He set the ground rules. I recognize the ground rules, but I said, what did I really see? I said, because I have some ideas. So he went over to the printer and he opens up the printer, the bay where you put the paper in the big, huge printer machine. He pulls out 2 or 3 sheets. He takes a ballpoint pen and he asked me a question. So if you can see the screen, he asked me, before he drew anything, he said, what is the most commonly cited or reported type of UFO over the decades or the millennia, whatever? And I said, well, it's a disc or a flying saucer. So he drew this disc. And then he said, so imagine, or supposedly, he used words interchangeably, imagine and supposedly. He said, so based on all the reports over the decades, these discs that are spotted, they emit some sort of electromagnetic field or electromagnetic-like field, okay? This field causes the ambient air around the vehicle, so I'm calling the disc a vehicle, it ionizes the air in much the same way as the gas inside of a fluorescent light bulb is ionized and glows whenever you flip the switch on and turn the light on, okay? It excites the molecules, the oxygen, the nitrogen, the carbon, all the molecules in the air surrounding that flying saucer or that disc, and it makes it glow. And depending on the power level of the engine, if it's at idle versus medium or full power, it makes the air glow a different color. Now, something else he explained, and Paul Hill explains as well, is the air glows according to the cleanness, the purity of the air. So in a polluted environment, around, say, a steel mill or some other more polluted or humid environment, the air is going to look different because there are other components in the surrounding air that are being energized by this electromagnetic field, this very high energy field surrounding this disc, okay? Okay, so I saw one of these. I saw exactly this. I saw a black equilateral triangle, and this is about as close as I could make it. And I saw 3 really bright dots that I took to be lights, but they're not lights, according to Lou. They are each something using a propulsion system like this, and they are glowing. It's the air around the vehicle that's glowing, and it is these 3 particular power plants, one in each corner, that give the vehicle cancels out its mass. In other words,
well, go check out the rest of that clip. I thought it was apropos to this because essentially maybe those balls separate from these larger craft and they, right, that's what they are, potentially, right? And it's just ionized air, I guess. All right, last clip here about orbs.
So another thing about this weird object is I'm not that familiar with these glowing fireballs. Have you come across, I showed you a graphic, and have you come across any descriptions like that in your career?
Yes, absolutely. And they're not uncommon. What seem to be these orbs or luminous balls of almost like plasma-like balls. And some have even speculated that these are similar to, from something we're familiar with, could be compared to unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, or drones, basically probes, if you will, that are related to UAP and potentially even launched and deployed from an actual UAP craft.
See? Well, pardon me. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? That's a very interesting story that Lou's telling, right? His own personal experience. Is it a hitchhiker effect? Him and his family experiencing orbs in their home. The potential that the different colors of the orbs sort of infer a different mission, as Luis Elizondo put it, right? Mission protocol. That's interesting, right? And that the blue ones are potentially the ones to actually worry about, which is, fascinating. So, and how many different colors are there? And do they range in color? And what if you're colorblind? You know what I mean? You're going up to talk to one of these orbs, you're like, oh, it's a friendly one. And then it just zaps you. I don't know. But just, it's got to be scary for him and his family, to be honest with you, regardless of what you think the things are. If they're experiencing this, that's kind of frightening, right? So, interesting. So, full links in the description. Please go check it out. And again, link in the description to Luis Elizondo's book. Please go pre-order it now. Out August 20th. There's going to be a lot in there. So, there you go. I've also got a couple other videos about other excerpts from his book. I'll put links in the description for that as well. You can go check that out. Luis Elizondo talks about a 23-minute UFO video, and he describes it in detail from an excerpt that I shared. So anyway, enjoy. We'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all.